Hello, today we're going to talk about using a lot of different resources to be able to find a good book. Now I realize when I say good book, I'm talking to some of you out there who say, I don't like books, I've never found a good book. So I think those of us that do love books and do love to read and have found good books would say, oh, just keep trying. And that's what I want you to learn today, is just different ways to try to find a good book. So if you've never considered yourself a reader before, if you've never really loved a book before, I hope that you would just listen in and just try it again. I promise there are books out there for you, and there are books out there that aren't for you. And so maybe you just haven't found the ones that are for you yet. And I hope that we can use a lot of different resources to be able to find a good book that you would enjoy. For those of you that already love books, great. Let's talk about some more ways to find some other awesome books to read. And we're going to talk about ways that you can do that away from the screen. And then I am going to record a little video on the iPad of Epic and talk about how you can use Epic specifically to find books that you might love, because I know a lot of us are doing that this year. So, away from the screen, what are some ways that you can use a lot of different resources to find a good book? So one resource that you can use is our local library. Our Warsaw Community Public Library here has a lot of great books available. If you didn't realize this yet, you can get a library card. Even if you don't live in town in Warsaw, if you are a Warsaw Community School student, even in the distance education program, you have access to a library card. And so if that's something you want to do, just drop a comment to your teacher below, and we can get you set up with that information and get you what you need to be able to get a library card. And that is a resource that you can use. The librarians there are awesome. They love books, obviously. I mean, they work at a library, they love books. So they often know what books to recommend to you based on what you're interested in. So library is a great place to get books from a friend or family member based on what they recommend to you. Friend or family recommendation. That is a great place to find a good book to read, especially if it's a friend your same age and maybe you can't go over to their house right now, or maybe your parents don't want you to meet them in person, but you can always connect digitally and talk to them about what they're reading. If you have been to a bookstore recently, or maybe you've passed by one, they often have displays out of new books, and maybe you might see a book there from your favorite author. I know some of you might be into reading, the Harry Potter series. I believe she just came out with a new, like a backstory, kind of like a side plot to that, and I saw that in a store. That's how I knew about that. So that was a resource that I could use to find that out. There are also, every year, a lot of books that win awards. And sometimes when I'm not sure what to read next, or I don't know what book to use next with a student, I will go on my shelf and I will look on the front of those books, and I will look for something with like a little gold or silver seal on it, or an emblem. And a lot of times those ones with a little like circle on the front, you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen those books before? And they're kind of shiny. Those are an award-winning book. And if they've won an award, that means a lot of people think it's a great book, and it probably would be an interesting book for you to read. So you can try some award winners. That could be something where you use the internet too to say, hey, what books have won awards this year? Some important words to go with that might be these two right here, Caldecott and Newbery. These are two really prestigious book awards, Caldecott and Newbery. So if you find books that have those seals on them, you know those are awesome book choices. So what other places that we can find different resources that we can use to find a good book would be a blog, or maybe for some of you, you prefer a vlog or a video on YouTube. Maybe one of your favorite YouTubers is talking about books today. I don't know. But you can find things on there. I mentioned the other day as well that there are sometimes book reviews, especially on YouTube. So if you're not sure about a book, you can check there. So those are some more resources that we have. You might also try some other different websites from authors. If you have a favorite author and you are just wondering what else have they written. I'm out of their books. They're like, this is like the only thing I like to read, Mrs. Kreider, and they're all out of books. What can I do? Well, just go Google it, see if the author has a website. Just Google their name, and maybe something will come up. And if they have a website, I guarantee you they have a list on there of books that they've written, and they want you to know about. And then here's my hack. Okay, this is an Amazon hack. So parents, if you're listening in, yes, I'm an Amazon mom. Love it, use it too much, probably you feel the same way. But kids, listen, on Amazon, if you have a book that you love, let's say, for example, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I haven't met a kid that doesn't like that book yet, so it's a safe bet that you might like that book. So if you go into Amazon and you type in Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and you scroll down to the bottom, there is a list of other books that are like Diary of a Wimpy Kid, and books that you might enjoy based on Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It doesn't have to be just Diary of a Wimpy Kid. It can be any book that is printed. You can look it up on Amazon and scroll down, and they will give you recommendations for other books that are similar to that. So maybe that's something that you want to try. That was something that was kind of new to me a couple years ago. So I don't know if you've heard of that or not, but you can check it out. Amazon, that's a great place to find some books. It's a good resource to use. I use that a lot in the classroom, honestly. When a student comes up to me, I don't know all the books that are out there in the world. And so if they come up to me and they say, I really love this book and I can't find anything else to read, I'm just going to stay here. So I get on Amazon, I check out that book, and I scroll down and I look for those book recommendations. This is a great one if you haven't used that yet. Now we're going to go ahead and look at Epic on your iPad, and I just kind of want to talk to you about the different resources on there and the ways that you could use Epic to choose a book to read. What Epic does is it's kind of like the Netflix of books. You know when you go on Netflix and you start watching a series and you love that series, and all of a sudden Netflix starts recommending things for you that are like that? This is what Epic does. It kind of does like how Netflix does, It just looks at what you've read, and it also recommends things that are like that. And so this check mark here on the left hand side with the thumbs up says for you. This will start to change the more that you pick books, and you'll get to see some books for you based on what you have read. And you can see even here it says, because you read Big Buddy Pop Biographies, Emma Watson, here are some things that were recommended on my guest account for Epic because of this book that I read. So they'll start to kind of learn me, basically, and learn what I like, and they will make recommendations for me. So this is a wonderful place to check things out. Another thing is favorites. So I want to go into one of these books that they recommended to me. So let's see here. Maybe I'm really interested in Amelia Earhart, really into planes. I see here it says, discover how Amelia stood up for other female aviators and the way she fought for gender equality. The beginning looks interesting. I see there's a whole series. Wow, this looks great. I'm going to go ahead and favorite it. Did you see how that happened? And it says it's added to my favorites now. So let me just show you what happens once it's added to your favorites. It comes up here. I just tapped at the top of my screen, and now it's in my favorite books. So this is a useful tool that you can use. Also, if you see a book that you might want to read later, kind of like save it for later, you could put that in your favorites. You can also take them out of your favorites by removing that heart. So another way to use this is the GRL. And if you don't know what that means, it's your guided reading level. This is your letter level. And I'm just going to say, if you don't know your letter level, please comment and let your teacher know, hey, I'd like to know my reading level, and they can help you out with that. Doesn't mean you only can read level T books if you're a level T reader. It just is a good guide for you to find some books that might be just right for you. So here we have the book I was talking about the other day, Bridge to Terabithia. Maybe I want to read that. That looks awesome. Okay, I'm going to put a heart there. It's in my favorites now. I can just kind of do those sort of things as I read through the book. There's a whole section here for comics because Epic knows that kids love comics and graphic novels. So here, these are all written by Epic. I have some options. I can also go down here. Oh, sweet, a Big Nate book I haven't read yet. The gerbil ate my homework. I love gerbils, and I wish my gerbil would eat my homework. So maybe you have a connection to this book. I don't know. But you can see here the ways that you can look through Epic and find some good resources. We were talking about using those multiple resources today to find a good book. The last two sections here are Read to Me and audiobooks. Now, audiobooks are different than read to me. And I know that sounds like they're probably the same, isn't it? An audiobook saying it out loud to you. But read to me, if we look at this Arctic Fox book here, is a little different.
Arctic Fox, Very Cool, by Stephen Person.
And so read to me is going to tell me the words, and it's going to highlight the words as well. So this might be good for some books that are a little bit on that challenging side. When we talked about the 5-finger rule, maybe you have 4 or 5 fingers up. That might be a good fit for you, is to use the read to me for a little bit. But there are also audiobooks, and these do not highlight the words as they read, but they do just read out loud to you. So if we look at this one.
Twin Sisters Digital Media presents You Can Multiply by 4, written by Kim Mitzo-Thompson and Karen Mitzo-Hildebrand.
You can also skip ahead in the book if you don't want to listen to the beginning. Skip ahead 30 seconds or go back 30 seconds.
Times 2.
And apparently this one has songs in it, so if you need help with your multiplication facts of 4, here you go. There's a whole series. We could just look at that and make sure we favorite that or anything like that. And that's a good way to just kind of engage with some books. Audiobooks might be a good way for you too to practice your comprehension of a higher level book if you're trying to push yourself to understand deeper text or deeper level text and use that deeper level thinking. Audiobooks might be a good fit for you. So this is epic. What we want to do is spend our time reading a really good book that we enjoy. Reading is just about enjoying, you guys. It is loving that book and having a great time reading it, using these different multiple resources that we have talked about today. What you want to make sure you are not doing is flipping through a ton of books and not actually ever reading one of them. If you start a book, I want you to give it a chance and really check into it before you start reading. And then once you do start reading, if you don't like it and it's been a little bit, then you can abandon that book. But please don't jump around to different books. That's not going to help you as a reader. It's just not going to help you be successful. Did you also know that your teachers can see the books that you've read and they can see how long you've spent on them? So if that is a problem for you, if you are jumping around a lot, they can talk to you and they can see that and they can work with you to help you make better book choices. But now you have lots of different resources to find a good book.